Pirates? OMG. Hi Karen. Yes, indeed space pirate. Well, nothing's in space pirates. You're gonna be space cowgirls and cowboys. But I mean, can cowgirls and cowboys be pirates as well? Also, Kieran, your last stream, I saw that. That shit was crazy. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But that's the story for another time. Hello, how are you guys? It's the. I feel like at this point, my stream times are. Is Nightbot not working? I don't think Nightbot's working. I feel like at this point my stream times are all over the place because I myself don't even know what times I'm able to stream. I hope the sound is working. Is the sound working? Can you guys hear me? My headphones are the ones that are not working. I don't know what times I could stream, but you know, we're here, we're vibing. Today is October the 21st. We are 10 days away from Halloween. Yeah, exciting. So, you know when you haven't done something in a long time that you forget how to do it? That's me with streaming. We're playing Honkai Star Rail today. Twitch the world today. I feel like something's wrong with something, but we're not. Are we gonna worry about that? I might worry about that a little bit. Yes, we're playing Honkai Star Rail today, but the reason as to why we're not there yet is because I forgot the game had to update, and it's updating right now. At least that's what I'm trying to say. I know there was a new character. People called her like, oh, Jingluo. Leo? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm bad with names. But I don't know, one of y'all called her like the female Gocho Satoru, and I'm just like, hell yeah. I like that. Can we put it here? Oh, you can see it. You can see it like updating in the background. So you'll watch it updating in the background while we chat. Called it like the female Gojo, and I'm just like, hey, I'm all for it. I don't know if I'm gonna get her. Mainly because when was the last character? Who was the last character? It was the character Blade, because I remember it was before Dan Hong, how you pronounce his like actual proper name, and I was upset because like I wanted to get both of them, but it was like characters back to back to back, and like I was just running out of energy for the game, so I didn't end up getting him. And now, I mean, we could kind of just work on getting Stellar Jades. Not even gonna lie to you guys, I've been playing a lot more Genshin than I have been Star Rail. That's the thing. I didn't hear, so you guys can send my email. I indeed have been playing a lot more Genshin, which is fun, even though it logged me out. Okay, let me log in. I mean, it's nice because then we got new roulette, but then there's also like the other dude that is on the banner like right now that I kind of want to get, but my pity is like 5. So there's the desire to get these different the desire to get these characters, but the motivation to actually secure them is out the window. But like maybe, hopefully, they do these like the little side mission thingamajiggies. We're gonna stay here in case this lasts to update. The like question and stuff. I'm so upset because I missed the underwater quest. I was like ready, like after I streamed it last time. It's like, oh, you have like a couple more days to finish it. I was like, okay, bet, a couple more days. That's all I need. And then I went back to do it and it was finished. I was like, I swear I didn't spend more than like 2 days away from the game, but I mean, hey, it happened. For Star Rail, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I haven't touched Star Rail in, I don't know how long it's been since I've been on Star Rail. Hold on. I don't know which game it is, whether it was Genshin or Star Rail, but then you know how they have the welcome back, like a little thingamajigger? I got that. So it made me realize how long I've been away from these games. It could have been for this game. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But that was just me. You know what I hope they did? I hope they updated the main story. It's not called the Ark Conquest. What is it called here? Trailblazing mission. I think so. Let's hope they updated that because I'm really interested to see what happens next. I was heavily against staying up to date with the main story because I did that on Genshin, and like after a while when you like stay up to date and like you wait for like more content to come out, and then like you play it and then you wait for more content to come out, it just becomes so boring. So I was heavily against kind of like keeping up with the story this time, but in order to continue with like the you know, like the quests they give you to do and stuff, it's like, oh, you gotta be at this place of the story or that place of the story, and then for one of them, like for Dan Hong's companion mission, you had to like complete the story for that part. And so I'm just like, you know, might as well just do it. And I did it, and I ain't gonna lie to you, that final boss fight did almost kick my ass, but it was fun. And nonetheless, it's finished. Yes, sir. You can switch over here now. I'm kind of excited. The only reason I haven't been playing it much is because of school. And half the time I'm like too tired to see. Look, it's Blade. He's still here. He haven't even changed him. He's still here. And then I came back to this, and it was like people are eating up my emotion. I ain't gonna lie to you, cause I don't think there's many support characters that are healers, and so I mean, if you already have a if you don't want to have a healer on your team, and you kind of just want like was it this? I don't remember if it was this. I completely forgot about this. I think I remember coming on here like 7 days left. I gotta check in every day. Damn. Log in for 4 days. Double rewards. I'm low-key probably gonna forget this. I am gonna lie to you. It is what it is. Or like this. I'm glad they gave you more days in the actual banner, because I was gonna forget. I ain't gonna lie to you. Oh, we can do her character, child. There's so much stuff to do. What's this? I like this character. Mainly because they have... I forgot the name of this little dude. But they have that little dude. And... I'm not even too sure. I completely forgot. Is this sound not on? No, the sound is on. It's quiet. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, like... She's cool. I don't know if I need a cryo character, but she's cool. Because I have... Now thinking of it. Can I turn up your volume now? Now thinking of it, I have, what's his name? The little blonde dude. You notice that all the cryo characters have blonde hair? Xingqiu? No, that's in Genshin. Whoops. I'll figure out his name afterwards. But I already have a cryo 5 stars that I don't use. I don't know if I need another one. But I mean, she looks cool. At this point, when playing the game, I only get characters for their looks. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't know what they do. I don't know what element they are. If they look pretty, I'm like, I want that. It's like, Ma, I want that one. Can I? You know who I want? I want a sample. 5 days. We only got 5 days. I don't know if this is for everyone, but like you go through those. Oh, I got a message. March. You go through like those phases where like you hate a character. Oh. Did we get a mission for it? We didn't even get a thing for that. Like you hate one character, but then afterwards the character starts growing on you. That was maybe a sample. I hate a sample off the jump, but now his stuff kind of looks. His stuff is kind of slaps. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we single pull until we get sample. We got a copy of one character. I don't remember which character it was. Oh. We go until we get sample, and then I'll probably stop there. And then we already exchanged. I mean, being one away from like the full pull, I don't like that. We can't do this one. I'm trying to see like the things we have to do. You missioned? They continued it. Wow. Oh wait, is it? Is that the main story? I think you know, now thinking about it, I swear I've seen something like about March talking about like where she came from on TikTok or something. But hey, we're not gonna I can't even spoil it because I don't even know what's going on myself. Hi Faye. Hello, how are you? How was your week? How was your education? How is your brain, sir? You know what I feel like? Okay, there was a phase where I would call everyone girl, or I would say girl to like everything, but I feel like now it's been switched to sir. You know what I need to do? Stop talking. So I remember I had one friend, and then like, or even my parents, like I'd say something and I'd be like, girl, and then I'd be like, what? No, it's yeah, it was alright. Only alright. What can we do to make it better? We're ending off the week, the last day of the week. How are you? I'm chilling. I'm kind of stressed, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm like in midterms kind of era. So I got a lot of assignments and work and stuff. So today might not be a long stream because I got to do my readings for an assignment due on Monday that I have not started. It's only a reading assignment. I'm not too stressed. You know what I saw? I saw TikToks of people saying how school is a waste of money. I was like, I agree. It's maybe just be like, oh, what's this? Just moved to England. It's half-term break. Faye, I had my break last week. That's the sad part. Because with my campus, they do the break like kind of too early in the semester. So it feels like you just started and like you're already getting a break. Rather than it should have been like this week or like next week or like the first or second week of November. Or the last week of October, like right in the middle. Then come here and have another. Are you just making an excuse for me to come to England?
People in the healer's market now.
Why are you speaking English? Oh my goodness. Do you guys... Maybe. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm always down for a world tour. Just no pictures. No pictures. We can't be taking pictures. No pictures. I remain anonymous. It has to download? Okay. Well, waiting for this to download. Do you guys have Thanksgiving over there? Pictures with censor bars? Because it's you, I'll allow it. Because it's you, I'll allow it. You'll be actually I was gonna say you'll be the one mod that knows what I look like. Olivia knows probably. Does she? I don't think she does. Wow, then you'll be the only mod who knows what I look like. Nope, you don't. What holidays do you have? No Thanksgiving. So then how do you give your thanks to? I feel like Thanksgiving it was just a holiday made for people to eat food and have a break like within the third quarter of the year. But I mean, hey, get free food. I was gonna say we get turkey. You know, actually I've had turkey cold cuts. Have I? I'm tired. You know what? Wait, I don't think you were here. But like the other day on Monday, I like streamed at like 11 o'clock for like randoms. Would you guys like later streams like that? Because I think it was kind of cool. Hello, Kazu. Hi, Kazu. How you doing? How's your occupation? How's your life? How's your marital status? Oh yes, I was like, you did, Faye? I was getting up for college. Actually, it's because Faye, like, cause you know how I normally stream on on Tuesday mornings, and then I was really tired that day, but I was playing with B, and he was just like, "Why don't you just start streaming?" And I said, I was like, "What if I stream these games?" Like, why don't you? So then I ended up streaming, and we were there for like 3 hours, and then I got to like sleep in without having to worry about wake up early the next day, and I'm just like, what if we do stream late at night? Like mix it up a little bit. Like we have some like late night streams for the late night girlies, some earlier in the day streams for like the earlier girlies. Maybe once in a while have like a midday stream like this one for like other girlies who are here at midday. I'm good, ma'am. That's great to hear, ma'am. That's great to hear. Kazu, did you like the late night stream? Was it weird seeing a stream that late? Do you reckon? Yeah, the ping was at 4 a.m. for me. Oh, damn. I'm sorry for waking you up, miss. I saw when I woke up at like 6. Imagine. It was weird because I saw people like Dre. Dre was at school. For Kaz, it was like midday. And like, it was like, it was so weird. What the hell is this? Who this? Okay, I like it because I like late night vibes. Ashley? I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but it would have to be like, it would have to be more like FPS games, like aggressive games, because if not, I will fall asleep. I will pass out. But I mean, hey, skull emoji, skull emoji was, skull emoji what? Cause like on Mondays, I'm awake since okay. I know some of you here wake up at like 5 in the morning. Not pointing fingers, but me, I wake up the latest 10:30, 10 o'clock, maybe 9 if I have to, 8 o'clock if I'm going to work that day. But so I woke up at 6. I wake up at 6 on Mondays and Wednesdays for school because my class starts at 9. And so being awake for that long, if it wasn't for like playing with someone and actively having to like stay awake to keep conversation, I would have fell asleep. I am gonna lie to you guys, I would have been out. The only reason I streamed was because B was streaming. He's like, Kozu, we should play Valorant. I was like, I mean, I guess. And then like 2 games later, I was like, we should stream this. Could it be me? On God. Kazu, I feel like you wake up at like 9, 8 o'clock on a good day. Maybe 7 if like you really have to be places. I don't know about 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock seems too... What are you doing at 5 in the morning? I'm awake at 11, get out of bed at 12, girly. Are you a go to sleep at like 4 or 5 in the morning, girly Faye? Because if so, then that explains everything. Because you're like my sister. My sister goes to bed at like 3/4. She doesn't wake up till like 11, maybe 12, 1 o'clock on a good day. Why are you with fire? This enemy will only receive skill damage. Oh. Use skills to defeat enemies. Okay. Wow. ... maybe. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Because I'm used to it. Especially because, like, I sometimes ask my sister to pick me up from the train station. And, like, as I'm texting her, she's like, I just eating breakfast. And I'm like, sir, it's like 11 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock. How are you just eating breakfast? Well, I mean, you remember how like Kieran streams were for me. Did Kieran streams fuck up your sleep schedule, or was it just because you fell asleep at that moment? Or no? Honestly, Faye, you know what was crazy? Kieran's live stream on Sunday, he streamed when I woke up. I woke up and he'd been streaming for like 30 minutes already. I was like, what in the hell is Kieran doing streaming at 9 in the morning? That's weird, bro. Casey fitted in with my fucked up schedule. I mean, maybe it's not fucked up if it's something that you do often nowadays. I think it's a really valid schedule as long as you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Because it don't matter when you sleep. Technically sleeping at night is better because you have like the dark. But it doesn't matter what time you're sleeping so long as you're sleeping 7 to 9 hours. So quite frankly, your sleep schedule's not fucked up. It's just out of place for the natural cycle. You know what I mean? How about 6 hours and then 10 every few days? I mean, the doctors may say 6 hours is not enough, but technically, if you've been sleeping for 6 hours for a long time and your body's used to 6 hours, then I mean, 6 hours is good. And then 10 hours, I'm like, honestly, Faye, I'm kind of like you. On like a good day, I get like 8 hours, and then like if I'm like really tired, I'll get like 10 hours, but then I can't sleep more than 10 hours, or else something's wrong. Something definitely happened. Oh, can I? What? Then I'll work up to 6 hours from 5. Then I'll work. You work from 6 to 5? What type of job do you have? Oh shit, I didn't do that. Whoops. Or unless you're talking about schoolwork. But then at the same time, I don't know if that's healthy. Because your body doesn't have the rest that it needs. But I'm not the one to talk about healthy habits. My work ethic is so shit. I'll work 10 hours straight without a break just to get my work done within those 10 hours. No. I mean, I'll wake up to getting 6 hours of sleep instead of 5. I get Wait, you only get 5 hours? Faye, oh my gosh, Kieran, tell Faye to get more sleep, please. Kieran, this is the first time I've seen both of y'all in the chat at the same time, and Kieran hasn't like skedaddled. Oh, kill it! I'm so tired. Goddamn. Apologies. You know what it is? The caffeine. If y'all drink caffeine, y'all... Don't worry, the other night I had a breakdown, then I only got 2. That's healthy, right? I don't know about that. The breakdown, maybe, because everyone, it's good to let out your feelings and emotions every once in a while. So, the breakdown, maybe. But only 2 hours, I don't know about that one. Because then, like... Imagine going the whole day on only 2 hours of sleep, but then also like if you're in class, trying to focus in class while you're tired, it's not easy. I ain't even gonna lie to you, cause that was me on Monday. I was in my first class of the day and I was falling asleep. Oh wait, I slept for 30 minutes after college. You got that power nap in? Do you believe in power naps? Good, recently moved. I have central air now. Oh my gosh. Where is the central then? In your room? Oh, Don Hong is almost dead. Wait, are you you're like completely moved in now? I feel like Kieran, you've been moving in for like the past 6 months. Is that how long it takes to move somewhere? I could know. I haven't been living in the same place. Nightbot. Oh, so you are here. Oh, I can use this. Whoops. Ooh, yay. It was less a power nap and more passed out watching YouTube. That, I mean, that works too. That falling asleep listening or like watching something helps a lot. You know what would make it easier? Sleeping at night. You know why? Because your body's natural how does one fuck up a circadian rhythm? You know how like you have like and it adapts to everything. And so what if like you flip it around, right? And so instead of like being sleepy at nighttime, you're then sleepy in the daytime. But scientifically speaking, causing weakness break on an enemy or ice. No, go back. Anyways, scientifically speaking, your body does the most recovery at nighttime. But causing weakness break with ice. But then, how does your body know it's actually nighttime if you switch around your circadian rhythm? Besides your eyes seeing it, like say for example, you were in complete darkness, or like you never saw the actual sunlight. Causing weakness break? How effective would it then be? Well, oh my gosh, I got well on a different account. I was screaming. I was so excited. But I was so sad that it wasn't this account. You know what I want to do? I keep saying this, but I'm gonna keep saying it to manifest it. One day, when like I have peak energy, we're gonna play Baldur's Gate on here. What the hell? That was so basic. Oh, they're both thingies. But also, if you guys have heard the game like The Lies of Pi, I think it's The Lies of Pi. The Life of Pi is the movie. The Lies of Pi. I want to get that, and I wanna play it with you guys. Mainly because that shit just looks badass. Like imagine imagine someone's just like there's like this one character, Pinocchio. Lies of P.A. Girl. Ain't no way. I've seen some of that game. The Lies of Pi. It looks so cool. Oh no! What the fuck? How they just get fucking one-shotted like that? Anyways, that game looks really cool. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Spare change. If we all chip in $3, we can make a group Steam account. And then we can all play the game. Would you guys enjoy if I played more like, not relaxing games, but lesser of like active games and more like RPG games? What are RPG games? They're not role playing. MMOs? I actually did that for Spotify Premium with my friends yet. Like the solo Spotify Premium pay or like the group Spotify Premium. Because speaking of Spotify Premium, it was funny because I don't know if you guys were here last year. I told you guys that I don't have Spotify Premium on my public account because the family one. That's so cute. Isn't that like we had like 4 to 6 people? That's adorable. Oh, that's healing. Damn. Cause like I don't have Spotify Premium on my public account, but I had it on my sister's account and I used that like, on like personal devices, and then they're just like, Harry was just like, you don't have Spotify Premium, and I'm like, no sir, because on the computer it's like a nice bridge between kind of free Spotify and Spotify Premium, but you still have the ads. And but then recently my sister, because we had the student discount, but you can only use the student discount for 4 years, and so my sister's 4 years was up, so then she was just like, oh, do you want to still do like the regular Spotify? I'm just like, why don't we just do like the partner Spotify? And she's just like, oh, sure. So now I have Spotify Premium. Yeah, 6 people, and we all definitely live together, and I didn't just put in the same address. I mean, hey, how would they know? They're not gonna come to your house and be like, FBI, open up, and like license and registration every person in the thing. I'm sure y'all will be fine. This one's kind of like Natasha's. Oh, she heals. Whoops. Who has Spotify to say that you are limited to just using the energy? The enemy target will only receive damage from quantum element stacking. I see. So you're not. I see. Wow. What? Okay. Alright, dude. The fuck? Oh, she's quantum as well? Oh, that's so cute. I don't want to do that because I don't. Will she get her ult? You reckon if we use this one? Honestly, didn't even know that you had to put in like the same. Because like here, like what if like you were family? Like you and the other person were family, but like say for example like one of them moved out or something. How is Spotify gonna like detect whether who's like family or not? That's the real thing. That's the kicker. I don't want him to heal again. Yes, sir. 12. How do we defeat him? No, don't go back. Oh, he's gonna heal himself. I'm so confused. Stage hint. So we have to stack the quantum damage? Yo, no say. That's cute. Do we have to stack enough damage for him to die when he resurrects? I think that's it. Because I can't... Ah, that makes sense. They need a thingy, like a little, what's the word called? Option to have this stuff in the most simple terms possible. Cause I don't understand, man. The Spotify police force are going to track us down. You know, I feel like there's actually like a thing that notifies like people where like notifies those companies where people live in, because so we have like, we're in Canada, right? We have family that lives in America, and we were sharing like Netflix account, but then like one day, you know how Netflix is just like, you're not allowed to share Spotify's with people outside of your household. So like for a good couple months, nothing was happening until one time, like my sister tried logging in. It was just like, oh, you're not in the same household as like the whatever the payment holder, so you've been like canceled out from the Netflix account. And it's just like, how the hell do you know where we live, where our location is, if like nothing was said? So I feel like there's something in like their system that could tell you if you're not in the same house. I feel like for Spotify it may not be as kind of as serious, but for like Netflix, does Disney Plus do that? I don't know about Disney Plus, but like for Netflix, they're like on your ass. Then quantum attack, yes sir. You reckon the Spotify police force will have like cute outfits? You know what's funny? I don't know if you guys have seen this, but on TikTok, they've had, you know how like there was the recent thing about females getting drafted into the military or into the war, and so on Spotify, people have been making the like kind of girl version. Like if I got drafted into the military, like this and that. And I think that trend is the most hilarious thing that has come onto TikTok this year. It's just, normally I'm not one for trends, but this one, I like this one. This was funny. I like the ones where it's just like, oh my gosh, girl, you think if we don't shoot the enemy, like he'll take me on a date or whatever? Or like, what was it called? Someone was just like, oh, the enemy missed his shot. That's such an ick. Could you stream? Hi, Heather. Yes, it's me stream. I'm doing a cute little stream, and then I have to do my cute little homework. How are you, sir? How is your work? How is your occupation? I was supposed to say education. Whoops. I don't want to do my work. I feel like I'm just doing this as a way to like procrastinate doing work. My work is busy. You too? Oh my gosh. Maybe it's just there's something in the air. Everyone wants to do their stuff today. I don't know, man. Don't worry, sir. You got this. I'm sure you'll blink your eyes and next thing you know, you're on your way home. And then if not, oh, they're gonna heal. No. If not, I could pretend to be an old lady that got ran over by a dog and, yeah, I mean, hey. You know what I want to do? I want to play Valorant. Should we play? What if I finish this, I play 2 games of Valorant, and then I go do my homework? I feel like that would be a valid plan. The only reason I didn't play it today was I was afraid a lot, because it's like weekend. And like a lot of people are out on the weekend or like have free time on the weekend. So it's always like the tryhards. And I am not in the mood to bust my ass for a Valorant game. Pick my agent. No, Dan. Well, joke's on you. I can't take him out of this team because it's a game set thing, but I will go back and not like, but then I don't even posture check yesterday. I don't even use Dawn. That's the thing here. So you're kind of like, okay, let me finish this and I'll stop. That's like the only way I could fulfill that request. Stretch, hydrate. So, thank you, cute. first. Oh my gosh. You know who else was first? Your mom. I mean, what? You know, I was about to say, you know what else I want to do? I want to shit talk people on Valorant. You know, wait, the only other reason I wouldn't do late night streams, also Kieran, make sure you hydrate too. The only reason I wouldn't do late night streams is because there's a lot of toxic people out at nighttime, and I had to cuss some people out that stream. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So yeah, that is also why I was not streaming late night. But I mean, hey, what's a little Valorant without a little toxicity? Which one do I feel like we need this one? You know why I don't want good posture? Because after this, I'm gonna have to sit down. You guys know when you have to do like a bunch of like stuff for something and it requires you to like sit down, and then it's not even like you got bad posture, but if like you're someone like me and then you sit in weird ways, like you tuck your legs when you sit or something like that, after a while your posture just naturally becomes like horrendous, that like you're sitting in the most contorted way possible. And it's just like, how did I get here? And it's like, hey, it happens. It's this dude, I have him, so I don't know if I'm gonna get Gojo Satoru. Do you guys watch Jujutsu Kaisen? I was about to say something that was spoiler alert. Jingwon, Lubocha, my Lubocha, top tier. I don't think anyone can beat my Lubocha. I may be spewing shit out of my ass, but that's my Lubocha. No done. And here I was saying I wasn't gonna use him. And then support. Oh, I mean, we'll use. I'm so sad that we didn't get him. I'm gonna cry. I have a friend in college who's in love with Sample. Yes. Period. You know why, Faye? You know why? We used to be Sample haters. But now we're Sample, like, Faye, didn't you like Sample? Like, what's the Sample haters? I know I was a heavy Sample hater, but Sample, he's starting to grow on me. Sample's built different. Oh yeah, I love him too. I remember you liked him because of the hair. But then now, like, Sample's on the banner. Faye, I want Sample. I'm even gonna lie to you. Sample grew on me. And now, you know what we should do? You know how I always have a picture of like Faye, you know what you should do, Faye? Faye, you should play Honkai Star Rail. I feel like you'd enjoy Honkai Star Rail. And guess what? It's free. Sample Honkai Star Rail. Images. Like, look at him. I mean, he looks suspicious as hell. But he looks so adorable. I mean, this isn't bad. This isn't bad. Save image as Sample. Cool hair is probably the biggest part in me liking someone's look. Honestly, you're not wrong. Because same. Hair and eyes and height. Sample. Where's Sample? Down. He didn't get saved. Oh no. If it's cool, and if it's dyed a non-natural color, that's basically a shortcut to being cool. So you're telling me I should dye my hair bright pink, and then I'll be seen as cool. You think highlighter pink will work well? Or like pastel pink? Save image as... You're not a JPEG. Or... What? You wanna see some? Do it, deadass. I'd honestly be scared. Oh shit. Look! Okay. I'm about to say that. Oh my god, girl! She got me kicking my feet. Anyways. Real though. Like, you too? You want me to send you the link? Honestly, I really want to dye my hair, but I feel like I'm too nervous to dye my hair. So I'll get like a wig, or like not like a very good dye. Cause I'm a scaredy cat. Cause then like, what if like it takes long for your hair to grow back? And go back to its original color. But I guess that's the fun of it. Same, we should just encourage each other to do it. Dye your hair? What color do you want to dye your hair for? I mean, hey, if you do it, I'll do it. Look, he's there. Girl, if you go, I'll go. You know who I'm gonna send it to? The Haru, because it has Dawn in there. It's titled Beautiful Man. I agree. That's the one problem. I really don't know what color to go for. Have you ever like close your eyes and like imagine your dyed haired self? What color do you imagine? I feel like I feel like green or blue, but blue has this connotation of like if you're depressed and go through like a manic episode, you dye your hair blue. But I don't know. I feel like a blue kind of like ombre would fit you. You know, it is cold in this room. I have. How do you say that? I can't say anything when I do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Give me like 2 minutes. Give me like two minutes. And Fantasia.
Aphantasia.
See. Oh, I see. That makes sense. What color would Future Faye like the most? What's your favorite color? Faye, what's your favorite color? And Fantasia, but I think blue does sound good. You see, I think so. Pink/purple. What if you did like a pink, like a galaxy kind of can. Ew, I feel like that's so 2015 or something. Ignore me. Don't do Galaxy. Don't. You should do... What should you do? That's a good question. Blue or purple or like an ombre or like half and half. You know what you should do? Black and blonde half and half. Or like an under dye. You should do an under dye. Let's say Galaxy. Kazu, how do you just hear that? You're here for the entire thing and you just said that. Girl. I hope your coffee gets cold. About Galaxy. Yes, I said, what's wrong with Galaxy? You don't like Galaxy? I don't like it either, but entertain me. I also have dark hair normally and I don't really want to bleach it. I feel like just then going darker fade might be understandable. Purple? I love me some purple. We know you like purple hair. Was there a specific color, like shade of purple hair or just like regular purple? You know what I like? Periwinkle. I feel like, not light purple. I feel like you would like dark purple hair. Faye, you seem like a lavender person, Faye. So that doesn't help. I mean, I know it's possible to get lighter hair without having to dye it. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. I'm drawing while having your stream in the back. What are you drawing? Can I ask that? You reckon Don's gonna be in this? I wanna do this. But if Don's there, I can't. Certain characters will automatically unleash follow. I see. Okay, so you want follow-up attacks? You know what's a nice color? Gray. How often have you seen someone that when you ask them what their favorite color is, they say gray? Get you someone who likes the color gray. I don't know, for some reason, whenever I think of whoa, purple hair, I don't think it would look good on me. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, Faye. I don't think purple hair looks good on anyone. Purple is a nice color in theory, but I don't think it's a nice. It's like not exactly purple, but it's like the purple that's like you only see it when it's in like sunlight, you know? I'm drawing something. You like the type of person? They're just like, oh, Kazu, what are you drinking? A drink. What are you eating? Food? No shit. I'm sorry. I hope your drawing goes well, Kazu. That's exciting. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Kazu, you're into K-pop, right? Have you heard 3D by Jungkook? And if you haven't and you're not into K-pop, pretend that it didn't say anything. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. Or Faye. But your hair is already this color. There was like this one color that was like milk tea brown that I saw on like TikTok that was like really pretty. That. I was gonna say cherry red, mainly because I ain't never seen one person who looks bad in cherry red hair, and I'm a sucker for cherry. I've always wanted to dye my hair cherry red, or like burgundy, or like maroon. I can do that one. I can do this one. I can do that one. And make a great world of a difference. But I mean, back here is black, so I mean, yeah. Thank you for getting sub. Thank you for getting sub. In return, you get 1 day of no bullying. Jeblar's kind of cool, but I want to have a tint of some color with it. I mean, if you really want to go for the— actually no, we said people don't look good in purple. Jet black with like the tint of like blue. It has to be like a dark color. Like blue, or what else is there? Green. Or if you want to go like fancy, do like an under dye. Or like highlights. Wait, Kozu, have you seen how fluffy my hair gets? I don't think so. I've only seen the picture that you posted in Discord. I don't think I've seen completely how fluffy it gets. Do you get like real frizzy hair? I posted it on my Twitter. You have a Twitter account? Say less, shoddy. Give me 2 seconds. My comments. Why you got my oh wait. My comments. As Kazula. Okay, no. You got 14 followers on Twitch? Oh my gosh. Can I be your 15th? No shit, it went away. Boy, I followed you. I'm gonna be honest with you, Kazu. I'm rarely on Twitter. It's like those rare times. Did I follow you back? I'm going on Twitter. There's like those rare times where I go on Twitter for like a while, for like 20 minutes, and then I'm off Twitter. Anyways, let me finish this fight first and then we'll go. I don't know, skull emoji. Don't check, cause then if not, I gotta make double check. No! You know what, I didn't want to do this anyways. Let's open up Twitter. I can do that another time. It logged me out. I don't even remember my login. What? I hope that's it. Okay, good. Oh! You fool, I have... Kieran! I am gonna lie to you, I don't care if you see it. Kieran, some of those photos you get commissioned, I'm like, goddamn. Let me use these. Is your name, what's your name, Kazu? Let's do it. You? Is there a oh no. Is... No. I need Natasha. And then Hila. And then this is so what the fuck? And then actually instead of Natasha, I'm gonna take a risk and do this instead. Well, that's not really a risk at that point. Kazuyaki. Oh, Kieran, hydrate. Yes, sir. I didn't do your first hydrate. I will do that. Is it you? Why? Kazuyaki. Oh my gosh. Oh no, I did it. Oh my. I was expecting just your hair. I wasn't expecting all of that, sir. The hair is crazy. I don't know why, dude. How is having curly hair? I feel like having curly hair would be a hassle. No, I'm just tired, bro. Skull emoji? What do you mean skull emoji? Filipino certificate? You can get that. For your inches, I'll be accepting a few. What? Comes are close me now. Please, senor. Open them up for me. Blade, I like it. Heat studies? Oh my gosh, she did play Snow. What was it? Snowfall? I forgot the game of the name. This study sketch. Damn, I mean. I'm gonna open them up soon. I'm literally gonna turn on your Twitter notifications just so I can find out when you open them up. You're like, oh my gosh, Cozy, how are you so quick? I've been waiting for this shit. That's so cute. R.I.P. your hair though. I could never. I would cry. I just cut that shit off. I ain't gonna lie to you. I get stressed out on my own hair. LMAO. Say, I haven't been asking you since like the first time I know that you draw. I was like, can I commission you? It was. I need to get off of Twitter. Anywho, yeah, hair. We like it, Picasso. Chances we can get double. Honestly, did it take less? I'm so confused. Where's the map? Reserve Chillblade power. Let's not do that. Travel log. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that isn't my usual commission style. I'm just trying to cook something up. Like how you draw? Like your art style? Nameless on there. Oh, it's 150 of those? Let him cook. Let him cook. I mean, sir, hey, you haven't burnt anything yet, so, I mean, do as you may. Yes, I'm still working on my card page. Oh, I didn't click on it yet. I should have clicked on it. I just saw like the little the like notification, not notification, that little like print thing. You know what I mean. I didn't go like in, but I mean, now that you said it, I'll get back to you on that one. Isn't card like that thing that was like super popular on Twitter like a few years ago, like 2 years ago? Like in 2020, and they use it for like introduction things and stuff like that, or is it like a whole different thing? You know what I want? Pizza. I want more pizza. Yeah, most artists use it too. I see. And then there's a companion mission. There's this. There's so much stuff to do. Chaos of Research. You know what we need to do? Go relic hunting. It's a one-page website, basically. Haven't you told me about that before? Weren't you like talking to me about that? And I was like asking a bunch of questions, and it flew. Sorry, sir. My memory is not the greatest. Sample, please. Sample, please. Sample, please. No. Just want a sample. What else can we do to get sample? You see, the thing with Genshin is like you prerequisite what? With Genshin, it's quick, easy quest to get stuff. With this game, you be struggling so hard. Or at least I be struggling so hard. we're gonna go back, and then we're gonna go back to, we're gonna go back to that. I forgot where you go to cook to it, actually. Here, no, I remember now. I remember. See, my amazing. Here it is. I do this one. We'll try. I don't think 30 is enough, but it's still some. I remember I liked the card thingy because you can make it like different themes and stuff like that. And I thought it was really cute to have like different themes that can like say match like a certain thing. So like say you had like a theme for like each season. So like it's like Halloween, so you had like a little like Halloween kind of setup. Or like in like Christmas time, you got like a Christmas setup. And then in the summertime, you got like people open everything. Okay, here's what I want to do in game at least. We need to build up the characters, so because I want to do the next world of the Forgotten Hall, and you know the Forgotten Hall is a bit, you know, is doing its thing. I feel like after the first world was over, I got like the second world, I got like 1 or 2 into that one, and then I was like, no sir. Someone do that. Although, should we do it now? I don't know. Can I? So no. Okay. Gotta skip those ones for now. I'll do them afterwards. We are going to hear me out. Try. Do we have to? Is it automatic? I forgot if it's automatic or not. We are going to attempt the Forgotten Hall. Oh? Who's that? We're gonna say hi to Pom Pom. I haven't spoke to Pom Pom in ages. You know, when last I spoke to Pom Pom? My birthday. What's wrong, Pom Pom? I'm just gonna agree with Pom Pom because it's Pom Pom. Everything is ready. The colorways are carefully slicked by, and please tell me what you think about them. Wiggly? Wiggly for what? You like this song? This song not much. You know what was so weird? Okay, hear me out. So with these streams, normally when I play like the regular stream playlist like this one, sometimes some songs get copyrighted and then like parts of the streams get muted. But like with last stream, I played like actual songs on Spotify and none of it got copyrighted or muted. So that was weird. I found that weird. So maybe what I want to do one day is make like a stream playlist. If there was like a possibility where I can like allow you guys to add your stuff or add, wait, can't we do that? Like a group collaborative playlist or something like that? Pog? And then we can add whatever songs you want to hear on streams. You just gotta invite collaborators. I feel like I see. I don't see, but I see. I'll make like a little like I've decided a little thingy in Discord, be like stream Spotify playlist. Hi everyone, welcome you can add your songs that you want to hear during stream in this playlist. Make sure it is a family-friendly stream song, because if not, then there will be a monster under your bed. Let's do green. It's okay, Pom Pom. Oh, she's here. Is she gonna make us go on a mission? Did they just... Kazu... When last have you played Star Rail? Cause there is so much stuff that I don't even remember. Yesterday? How's Danny Boy? Is he doing alright? Is he living up to your expectations? Like, they've never had a chance to grip Thingamajigger. Let's go register our music. March, no thanks. This is what we need. The Forgotten Hall. Any way to scam the Forgotten Hall, because I'll be struggling. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'll be having a hard time. This will have Natasha. He's nice. Icy. Billy is a really cool kid. He's like the characters that have the hype and that lived up to their hype. And we get a Spotify rap soon too. Actually, isn't that in December? Or is it earlier? We're almost in the second last month of 2023. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna lie to you guys, I'm ready for this year to end. This year can cut left. You know what we should do? We should all share our Spotify Wrapped. And then I need... You know who I should upgrade? I should upgrade this shorty. Because that, for this one, we can blade. This is definitely not gonna do nothing. We're definitely not gonna survive this, but it's for fun. The only Spotify rap I like is your arms wrapped around my waist. Hey yo, who said that? Sir? No further questions or thoughts, Your Honor. That's a good... Sir, wait. You see, the funny thing is, you know, it's always the people, skull emoji, it's always the people who have the best riz and the best pickup lines who have no one to use it on. I'm speaking from experience. Anyways, you know, we're gonna I feel like Bailu doesn't have anything on her. LMAO. I mean, I'm not wrong. Oh my gosh. The W Rizzers always have zero maidens. Zero girly pops. These, oh, we need to go for, okay, I lied. We're gonna do something else. We're gonna go farming for something else. What's another one? Let's hear another one of your wrist lines, Kazu. I need to fill up my notebook. We're gonna take... Oh! You got her, Kazu? Oh my gosh. We're gonna use her. There we go. I've only been using Filipinos lately. Give us something. There's something out there. I've seen like on TikTok some of the pickup lines, but it's like the words I can't pronounce. It's into oh damn. I'd be the type of person that you'd say and I'd be like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, okay, what did I say? And I was like, word. It's cool. What? Respectfully, I'm trying. I already got my hands full trying to learn 2 languages. Do you have any Filipino friends you tell her is up? Bestie Ray. My best friend. She's Filipino. I'm gonna use it on my friend and she'd be like, where the hell did you learn that from? And I'd be like, don't worry about it, shawty. Oh, I have one for you then. Yes, sir. Give it to me. Share essay assignment extension with extra. I ain't gonna lie to you. Alright, so say actually how you been. Uh-huh. I'm definitely picking up paper. Is she also a support? I feel like she's also a support. It's gonna make this take longer. Get rid of her after. You say I've been feeling a bit tired lately? I see. Actually, after this, I'm gonna play 1 game of Valorant, and then I'm gonna head off, and that's gonna be— oh shit, I just hit the mic. That's gonna be today's stream. I'm in the mood for Valorant. I'm gonna end this. Yeah. Enough. I see. That's the one. Okay, I see. I got it. I'm gonna— you know what? Instead of speaking it, I'm just gonna— unless you say something and I'm gonna make like a complete fool of myself. I'm just gonna screenshot it and I did that. Thank you. Now I got W-Res. There's all my friends now. It means maybe I will only have enough rest when I rest on your chest. Aw, wait, this actually— wait, I actually like that one. Damn. Not gonna lie to you, if someone used it on me, I wouldn't know what to say. Maybe you do have W-Res Kazu. Oh my god, no, but dead ass. Like, if someone ever said that to you, that would catch you so off guard. But then also at the same time, it'll make you like giggle, kick your feet, and all that shit. Cause that's something you only hear in the books. That's never something you hear IRL. I have another cute one. Oh, give it to us. Let's hear it. Actually, something to do with the stars. Is it something about like the stars don't compare to the— actually no. I'm just gonna wait till you translate. Is it hope we are stars so that's something with stars? I don't understand that one. Something with stars. You got the high IQ, Riz. Did they make these characters even stronger? You know, maybe I may not understand it, but they will. And honestly, that's all that matters. Like how actors are starred into movies. So we're actors now. We acting like we like each other? Like featuring? The more you explain it, the more dumb I feel. Okay, never mind, bro. See, Kazu, maybe it just doesn't hit with me. Maybe it will hit. Maybe she'll understand it. Maybe I just won't understand. Maybe I'm my brain's just built different. It's okay. I still give it a 10 out of 10. We like, cause why is we like the foreign languages. Just come punch you. I'm not. Wait, but that first one's a banger. Yeah, the first one slaps. First one will definitely have someone kicking their feet, giggling, fucking smiling and shit. The second one, I'm sure the second one's just as good. I'm slow. My brain is very lagging behind time. Unupdated, if you may. I'm gonna make that a thing. Anyone who speaks a different language and that I know of, I'm gonna make them give me one pickup line in that language. But no absolute reason. But to just have a little plethora of pickup lines. Or, you know, okay, I was just thinking, in Valorant, how they had this thing with Sage when Sage did a heal, like there's this whole trend about like people would have to like fight for heal or something. I'm gonna make people give me their best pickup line for a heal. Cause you gotta heal so- Now I wanna play Valorant. Okay. In Norway, yes sir. Because in a game of Valorant, you're at least healing at least one person every single round, and there's like minimum 24. Actually, no, not minimum 24 rounds. There's a minimum of 13 rounds if you go 13-0. That's 13 different pickup lines in one game if you get one. That's cool. I don't know if I should play Calm. You reckon the one and only game we play today is a comp game? Like, no warm-up, no nothing, just straight comp. I think that'll be sweet. And then I head off. I can't stay longer. If I stay longer, I need one of you to yell at me. Because I need to do my homework. One thing about being in school is you always gotta balance stuff. And if you fall behind, it's gonna catch up with you. And it almost caught up with me today, but like in the middle of this, my teacher gave us an extension. Just one Valor game? Yeah, one Valor game. Cause I want the stream to at least be a minimum of 2 hours, but I don't want to go over 2.5 hours. Cause I needed do one of my assignments that's due on Monday, and I had another assignment that was also due on Monday, just later in the day. But during this stream, my teacher gave us an extension till Wednesday, so I have now 2 extra days to do it. But I know damn well I'm gonna take those 2 extra days and procrastinate. So I need to get this one assignment done so I can focus on that other one. And if I my background on like my desktop collection. You see? There we go. So we stick with white. You know what we can play one day? Do you reckon I play League of Legends on stream? My lordy lord. Hi, Cozy Shotty. Hi! Mommy cute Bets here. So, Shotty. Why did you say that the second I joined? What? I gotta leave. What did I say? What do you mean? What did I say? Battle Pass? Do I even play comp? I'm like we're just gonna play unrated. I'm gonna cry if we play comp. Are you gonna play League? Oh, I don't know if I'm actually gonna play League. I said you reckon I would play League like because what's wrong with League? Why are you so against League? I'm not like the other people who play League. I'm different.
Match found.
Well, we like League. League is fun, right? It's a lot of things. Is it that bad if I play League? That's what's wrong with it. Is that bad? Not even gonna lie, dude. I actually quite like League. I'm okay with people that play it. I'm not gonna turn into a degen, but then you said you were gonna leave because I said I was gonna play League. So now you're lying to me. Cause like, hear me out. I used to play it with friends, and it's quite fun for like 2 or 3 games. After that, it just gets pretty like brain dead. Well, I would rather nay than watch League for gameplay. What's you don't like? You're saying that like doing the nay is a bad. Can you not dance? Is that why? How is doing the nay a bad thing? I feel like League is fun to play, but it's like watching it is a different like ballpark. I feel like watching it's not as like, you know, engaging as playing it. Cause I've tried to watch some people play League. I even tried to watch like professional League games, and it's just and it's saying 2 years to agent selection thing he's gonna cover the whole screen. It doesn't cover the whole screen now, does it? Because like regular League and comp League look different. Like 20% of the height. Ew! That's gross. Why would it do that? That's so weird. And then it like blacks out your screen and then it goes to like full game. No one talk about Valorant. Oh, the thingy, the bottom part? Oh, the agent images, don't they like I feel like it's gonna go from like sidewall to sidewall. Like from each side of the screen. The way they placed it now feels awkward. The League agent selection is the worst I've ever seen. Why does it only fill up like a square in your computer and then like it blacks out your screen and then it brings you to the actual game? Like the loading screen, then blacks it out again and then it brings you to the game. Everything other than the actual game is horrible. Oh no. I like League, it's I hate the launcher. Yeah, the launcher's weird. I don't like it. It always makes my computer glitch. Who do you like playing in League, Cube? Did you know that they're coming out with a new boy band for League? I'm so excited. You need to ask the devs how to join your friends. In League.
How many must I kill before I
You reckon it's gonna lag? No? Wow, look at that. I love League music, actually. Like the like outside music or like the in-game music. I play the 2 characters that blind people. Yes. And yeah, also I see it. Like Spotify music. See? You like oh, Spotify League music. Yeah. Isn't not KDA. KDA?
Many enemies.
KDA? Is it KDA?
Trigger.
You know why I can't play Valorant? Because I have like my nails. KDA is so cool. Should we play some KDA music? You know the funny thing is, I listened to KDA before I even knew about League or Valorant or anything. And like I was just randomly kind of listening to KDA. Like they popped up on my thing one day. I was like, oh my gosh, they're like so cool. Let me like listen to them. Not even knowing the freaking game Valorant. Yeah, we listen to KDA. One of my nose KDA. Ooh, could be. Same listen to it because I put on. Yeah. It was when I was first getting in, not first getting into K-pop, but like when I was like still new to K-pop. And so, Miss Reina, please. Oh fuck me.
Cage triggered. Spike planted.
Well,
Got you.
Reloading.
what?
Drink some water, reload your mag.
Only figured
Let's
out
get
it was
back
League
out
related
there.
3 years after. Imagine. You can say that you've been into League from the beginning. It's so good. You know who? Cube. Do you know Maeve? Like the Pandora. Well, it had a life. Damn, really? Thought you were one of us. Imagine actually having a life.
Oh, great move.
What?
Shadows traveling.
So Ellie knew that people play.
Spike
So Ellie
planted.
knew that people that play League are like, I see. Maves and who? Like they sing the song Pandora. Like Maves and like the other AI group, but they are K-pop and like they sing like the
Last
Pandora.
player standing.
I was gonna throw a bunch of questions at you. Like,
Now I know how
oh,
to
I
work
forgot what I was gonna ask. Oh, there's another song I was gonna ask about. Whoops. I think I heard the music when I said, does it have a backslash? I honestly don't know. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna double check. My team just think. Well, you see, this is why. Don't like this game. Oh, they walled it off.
Last player standing.
Oh no! Please, I'm scared.
Cage triggered.
I need someone to like
Spike planted.
to play this game with me, but like
on top of the box, Cypher, on top of the box. Trust me.
it's like
Stop.
no.
Nice try.
I don't understand why this person's being so nice but so mean at the same
Sage,
time.
remember that you can't save everyone.
This game feels weird to look at. It feels weird to play. Like this person was just shit talking us, but now they're saying nice try.
I need this. My thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Alright.
I feel like I'm gonna suck once I come back to it. Honestly, maybe. Like, not even saying that as like in a bad way, but like there's so many people that are like playing Valorant now,
Cage triggered.
and
Here.
Spike planted.
he showed my thingy. Oops, no. Oh shit.
Enemy spotted C.
No, there's like so many people playing Valorant nowadays.
Reloading.
I hate it so much. And they're all just tryhards wanting to like go pro and shit like that.
Player
So you can't
standing.
even play
Omen!
you can't even play a casual game of Valorant anymore. Not like I was horrible already. No, don't say that.
Enemy remaining.
Ultimate is ready.
Oh my gosh. That's one of the main reasons I didn't like it, because it'd be like one square for a medal every 3 games. Honestly, Cube, it's gotten worse. Like,
Omen, you are a force.
I played on Monday with B, and like every other, not even every other game, we got like 3 games back to back to back that had Smurfs in there. One of the Smurfs was on our team, but like he was actually not trying to kill people. He just wanted to level up his account, so that was like understandable. But like, just every game had a Smurf.
Who's next?
And like that's too much for a little glass heart. Honestly, same. And they like shit talk you like they're not like smurfing, they're like they're not like in a level that they're not supposed to be in. So then they're like shit talking you, just like, oh, you guys are so whatever. And it's just like, bro,
Cover going out.
it's
Cypher,
like,
there's a
bro,
bulldog underneath you, by the way. I mean, random.
thank you.
My thanks.
Like, bro, you're not supposed to be in this level. What do you mean we're shit? We're in just lower levels.
You got a moment. Jet was on the right there.
You're like so bad.
Cover going out.
And the community
Someone
is just
check close.
so
right.
toxic. I don't have my camera up. I swear I put on my camera.
Something next.
Spike planted.
On my mark. My camera is this.
One enemy remaining.
Jet is in my corner yet. In the corner, Roman.
No, you see? I feel like I'm just slow.
Thank you, Sage. Good job.
The issues
You
there
grabbed the op as well.
is they aren't trying to punish them. Honestly, they say they do the thing like they make you wait to like level 20 before you can play games, but it's just like you could still smurf and unrated. But I mean, at the same time, they can't really do much about it, you know? What you get for smurfing is getting smurfs against you frequently. It's so weird. I wish I started playing Valorant earlier, because like I got 1 year of like good Valorant without smurfs, and then after that, like year, and since like Valorant started getting like popular on like Twitch and stuff like that, that's when the smurfs started coming. After that, you can't get out of them.
What?
But like, I like the game, but there's I can't get better if I'm just faced with smurfs all the time.
Behind you guys.
Spike planted.
In spawn. Brimstone in spawn.
Last player standing. Flawless.
Nice try.
which is already what normal plays. It is.
Shoot
I
the
played
bad
it for
guys.
2 years. Actually,
Plan.
you got one more than I did. You got one more than I did at least. It went downhill every time an act finished. Yeah, it's so hard. I was like, you can't get worse every time and it got worse. You can't get any worse than this. No, it gets worse. Actually, next act will be better.
Enemy spotted A.
We can't face any more smurfs. And then keep in mind how toxic they are towards like different people. AKA women. Sorry.
Last player standing.
Cypher behind you!
I'm
You have
dead.
tricks for a reason, bro. Use them.
I used them on the other side.
Be at peace.
I didn't have them.
I know.
Or else I would have used them.
Nice try. There's nothing you can do about that.
Okay. I shouldn't have come on this game. I shouldn't have come on this game. I'm being mean to people. I shouldn't have. Yeah, so which decision in my life to become about decide to be? I mean, hey, Cube, didn't you say you were gonna take like a little break, and then when you come back, you're gonna play more games? You could technically, you can switch games. He's 110. They sound so defeated. They are. They really are. This kid is bipolar. Yeah.
Blinding.
I don't even know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you guys. I love this game so much, but I hate it at the same time.
Last player standing.
I need to find a different FPS game to play. I already took 8 months with one
They're
stream
usually
for 2
distracted
months
once I reveal them. Make
to
sure it's
play
a fight.
Valorant. Wait, these switch thingies. You reckon I don't even have. Cypher stuff is so expensive. But yeah, play my yeah. I can't even say that like I'm a good player, but at least I try. My aim is not the best, but I know how to use util. Isn't that good for something? Valorant is included as well. You can play Valorant like for fun. That's what we can do. I'm gonna do like 100 damage. That's it.
Spike planted.
Or somehow they're gonna like. Guys, please don't die.
Last player standing.
Guys, how do we see what I mean? Oh my gosh, my aim is so shit. I always said that once I got good aim, I'd be undefeated in this game. Guess what has happened? Nothing. To stream in general? I feel like it's gonna be exciting when you start streaming again.
Life goes there.
For you.
Last player standing. Spike
Valorant
planted.
for fun? Do you know what you just said? Hey, when I play Valorant with friends, I actually have a lot of fun. But it's only when you solo queue. I feel like with friends, I don't care about what other people say. When I solo queue, all you have is
Last
the
round
people
in
on
the
your
half.
team.
Nothing will be saved after this. Use it.
I ain't never had one round where I could have bought a full gun. Ain't never. This game is annoying to me. It's starting to get annoying. I don't know. I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
This
Like,
is
I
nice
like
spot.
playing it, but it's so
goes
hard to
here.
play nowadays.
Get out of my way.
When all you have are like people
Cage triggered.
tryharding like every second of the game.
One enemy remaining.
Because there isn't a concrete way to become very good at it. It's either you're good at it or you're not good at it. That's the thing.
Cover going out.
Like, practicing doesn't affect much. You're not gonna practice for an hour every day. I don't know, because then, like,
Switching sides.
with Valorant, there's, like, so much to it. I gotta head off now. Good night, Faye. Thank you for stopping by. I love you chatting with you.
Reloading.
I'll be a good rest. Same, yeah. That's only with friends. Yeah, with friends. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Only with friends. Honestly, just a full 5-stack. At this point,
Yes, this should do.
a full 5-stack. Cause like, you know how sometimes you can like finesse like at what time of the day you play in order to like avoid people like the tryhards and stuff like that. At this point, that's not even possible either.
Here.
Cause
Required is to here. Cage triggered. Hostile removed.
no, that's not even possible anymore. Cause
Last player standing.
every
Spike
hour they
down
try
A.
cards. If I was free every day, sure. To play Valorant, but I legit have 5 to 8 times to.
Once more into battle.
Nah.
Are you?
Days wake up at that time. Nah. There's. I feel like Valorant should not be the sole. We'll just do this. Valorant should not be the sole game you play if you're trying to like relax or something. Cause Valorant, you don't relax in Valorant. Valorant is a game of stressing out. When demons wake up at that, exactly. Yeah, Valorant should be the last game you play. But also, if it's the last game you play, you're gonna go to bed really upset. Honestly, at this point, let's just stop playing Valorant.
One enemy remaining.
I'm gonna delete Valorant. Exactly. Yeah. Just delete Valorant. I would legit rather work than play Valorant before I was unable to play. Yeah, I agree. I already did. Honestly, the only reason I don't uninstall Valorant is because sometimes like a friend and I like play a couple games. But other than that, I would have deleted Valorant. I would have deleted it ages ago. Oh my gosh. And then, I don't know, I feel like Valorant has become like the game everyone plays. Like it's your first game. No. Oh yeah, that's the main reason I didn't as well. Yeah, because it's a game of yeah.
Shadows traveling.
Granted, I'm able to play like other games, But at the same time, everyone has Valorant. Like, everyone has Valorant.
Healing you.
So even if it's like,
Imposter killed.
even if there's like, you see how those type of flicks confuse me, because how does a person that fast? It's like Among Us, but more toxic and depressing. I haven't been in the toxic Among Us era. Is Among Us actually toxic? Cause I mean, I probably wouldn't know, cause I always played it with friends and family.
Last player
It's like the
standing.
occasional like person in like a group or something. Nah, it's not most of the time. I feel like it's a lot of fun. I miss Among Us, but not many people play Among Us these days. I want out of this game. I want to do my homework. That's how bad this is. I want to go and do my homework. Oh my gosh. We got this. No, I don't. This, I mean, I'm trying. We don't got this. I am trying. Me too. Oh goodness gracious. I'm gonna fail. At least homework doesn't make you sad. Homework makes me sad. It doesn't make me mad. Homework is contributing to my future. And homework is... Homework will get me a job in the future. Valorant will not.
Spike down mid.
Homework will help me earn a living to make my mental health and well-being a lot better.
Cage triggered.
Valorant will not.
I have retrieved the
Last
spike.
player standing.
Oh! I hit her for 0. Valorant's contributing to the demolition of your future. Exactly!
I need to set back.
Valorant's contributing to my depression and anxiety.
Reloading. Reloading. Reloading.
I don't even want to play. Actually, you know what's good? You know what's funny? Like, you say you don't want to play, and that this game like fucks you up, but then like you always go back to it.
Omen killed.
It's a game that makes you hurt, but why are we pushing this? But you always go back to it.
Reloading.
Why are we pushing this? Why are we pushing this? Okay, please.
Everyone hiding.
Spike down. Attacker spawn. Last player
No.
standing. Defenders win.
I'll say GG because I got 2 kills. You know what we'll stick to? We'll stick to watching Valorant and not playing Valorant. Yeah, on that note, I'm gonna do as I said, and I got 2 headshots. Single player games are the best for real. You know what I just wish I hadn't I feel like Valorant's a game that I don't want to let go because I spent so much money on this. Well, not a lot of money. More money than I should have. That's what I did. Thank you for stream. Thank you for stopping by, Q. I just love getting to chat with you. I know. Honestly, you should be able to refund your Valorant account for like... That's why I couldn't just give up. Yeah, but I feel like it's good to just give up. I only spent 10 Only 10? That's not bad. That's so little. Yup, damn. I wish I had your self-control. I just like, ooh, pretty skins. Oh, this game is so fun. No toxicity. I'm gonna go jump off a cliff. I was ever believe that spending money on that game is a bad decision. I wish I had met you earlier, Cube. You could have convinced me not to. The reason, honestly, I feel like because when I first started playing Valorant, I was first getting into like, you know, social media and first getting into like PC gaming and like, you know, the gaming community and stuff like that. So I had no one to talk to. So I just went for it. And they can't sell my skin, so there's no way I'm getting my money back. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's true. I believe it is a waste, but I never wanted to say to others. Honestly, I feel like it would have been like, it depends on the game. Cause like say for example like Star Rail and stuff like that, or like gacha games. I don't think you should spend money on gacha games. Like imagine someone buys a skin that makes them happy. That is true, but I'm also, and I'm like, you just wasted your money. After buying skins, I realized that like with those things, it only makes you happy when you see them. Like when you're not playing that game like 24/7, and those times where you're not playing the game, you're not getting that feeling. So it's just for like the few hours you play the game, that's when it's gonna make you happy. So is it really worth it when like say for example you could buy something like IRL and like and see it all the time and be even more happier? I mean, okay, the streamer's buying it. If like you're a full-time streamer, like you know those people who play Valorant full-time, yeah, for them it's okay because like the game is your livelihood. You get that for better, yeah. Like you're spending money to make your career better. But for the average Joe, Average Jonas bought all of them. Average Jonas has money to burn. That's the thing. Those type of streamers got money to burn. I could imagine how much it is, especially like if you don't catch the bundles. Imagine how much money you're spending. He gets money from Valorant. The Valorant's paying him to buy the skins. That's the dealio. Valorant's paying him to do that. I wish, damn. Yeah, I got paid from Valorant content. I would spend more on Valorant. I mean, yeah, it's like a job. If your company spends more money on you, you're gonna spend more money to then improve yourself to get more money from that company. Basically it. Damn. You know what we should make? We should make if losing and being a bad player wasn't as looked down upon and didn't have as much of a negative stigma on it as it did, I would have said we should create a group, a little like organization for people who are bad at FPS games. Dude, ma'am. Cause I am so shit at FPS game. No matter the game, I've just never grown up being able to play FPS games or be good at it. I'm gonna do an Iron Bounce tournament, right? And like do it and it actually like gains attraction, not just, and like not even, because I feel like that organization will go downhill. I feel like a lot of people are gonna shit on that organization, but if it's like something that like a big organization would like back up, no one can talk shit. They only talk shit about like smaller organizations because they don't have as much exposure. Because people that are less horrible than others will start to feel better and be toxic. Maybe that's true. But then like I also want to do it for like the good people who are actually just bad at those type of games and just are not like, it's not their type of games, but they still enjoy playing it. But it just, you know, Yeah, yeah. Because, like, say for example, compared to when I first started playing Valorant, compared to like now, like, people say they see like improvement, but like I'm never getting out of bronze. Gamer, oh my gosh, iconic. Hi, stranger. How are you? Also, people that play casually, yes. People who don't want to play calm. What's up, motherfucker? What's up, dude? What up? So much has been up. Like, what? How long has it been? A while? The sky. I'll start up with the sky. What's up with you? About a while. About a while? About a while in a good way or a bad way? I like casual plays. You know, they need a tournament that's not comp. They need a tournament for casual players. No. Is it bad that I want to go back on the game? I need to do my work. I said I was gonna do my work. Iconic, you had to come towards the end. It's always, I called it. It's always those handful of you. Feed your addiction, sir. The game makes me the only reason I'm waiting to play Valorant is because I have acrylics on, and that makes it 10 times harder to play the game. So, once I get these taken off, I'm about to, yeah. But how have things been, Iconic? How is your little you still in school? You still educated? That's bad. What do you mean that's bad? You gotta uninstall that game until I get it back. I can't. I won't. When are you gonna get it back, Cube? That's the thing. That's the real question. I've been so busy with work and school. Imagine. I felt that. That's why I gave up on streaming. Don't say you gave up. I mean, you can always return back to streaming. Streaming's not going nowhere. It'll always be here when you want to come back. But I hope it's been a good type of busy. Not the type of busy that's gonna make you like go insane and cry and wanna fall in a hole and, you know, give up on life. In a month or so, I guess. A month or so. Like, give me a date. Let me pull up my calendar. Give me a date. You see my calendar right here? Never give up. Never back down. Never what? Cause like we can say like a month. Like a month from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like November 25th. And so we have like 2 weeks buffer. So like December 9th. Dude, I don't know. Don't yell at me. Definitely taking a break at least. Hey, a break is always needed, and then you could come back better than ever. For safety reasons, 21st of 11, November 21st. How about December 9th? Give me the latest day as possible so that I won't get excited. And miss streaming, I could tell you seem like you really enjoyed it. Even though you would always stream when I'm sleeping. Especially when I started school again. I'd wake up and I see like you started streaming an hour after I went to bed. But I changed my major. Actually, do you mind if I ask what you changed your major to? I know changing majors can get crazy. I didn't solidify what I was studying until like last year. It gets a lot. Well, it depends on when I get my PC. Are you getting like a pre-built? So it's not in my hands. Are you getting a pre-built? Or are you building your I changed my major 3 times, right? But like majors are different depending on where you live. Because in Canada, like you have your program. And then you have to have like 2 majors to complete your program. Or like 2 majors and or like a major and 2 minors to complete your program. So I'm going like I originally wanted to do 2 majors, and then I wanted to do 2 majors and a minor, and that was too fucking much. And then I didn't get into the major I originally wanted, so now I'm doing a major and 2 minors, and the major I couldn't get into, I'm probably gonna study that in grad school. It's a lot. Yes, semi pre-built. What difference does it make? I have a physics degree, so you're smart. Biology degree, so you're even smarter. God damn. And well, you're in geology, but I gave up on it. Damn. You smart. My major is women and gender studies. I went from psych to cyber. I remember you telling me you wanted to study cybersecurity. Is it? Do you like cybersecurity? Yo, actually, almost the same vibe. Imagine now getting into software development. Wow, y'all are smart. I went social sciences route. I was pretty much done with psych, but I couldn't stick with it. That's understandable. That was me with sociology. I dropped sociology after my first year. I said, no, sir. I can't do this anymore. We already listened to this song. But then for my school, the psych program is considered a science, and I didn't take biology, so I couldn't go into the psych program. Whoops. I don't know what to play. Is there? There's no people. Psychology seems fun until you see the work you gotta do. It's not for the faint of heart. Let's say that. It's for people who enjoy it and kind of are willing to, sacrifice 90% of their time for it, because it is a lot. Not easy. But I still want to do it. I mean, hey, it looks fun. The one thing, you know what I want to do? I'm gonna there needs to be this technology where you can take people's brains and take it apart and study each molecule and shit in their brain and why it makes them who they are. That's the shit I'm gonna do. I don't want to talk about feelings. I can't talk about my own feelings. I want to take apart people's brains in the most unconventional way possible. But that will never happen in my lifetime. Any quizzes. Honestly though, if I disappear within 3 years, just know I actually got into grad school because I want to study psych in grad school. So I might get a master's in psychology, but that's just me talking now. If I ever disappear, yes. Before I keep going, it was fun. I'm trying to understand the motherfuckers that say I can fix it. Honestly, I feel like the people who say that have things going on inside of them that they see in other people, and because they can't fix it in themselves, they think that they can fix it within other people, and that stems it being in a male opposite gender type of energy. But 9 times out of 10 they just end up fucking themselves up over anywho's, before I continue talking, thank you for stopping by. It was lovely getting to chat with you, and you too, Iconic. It was lovely getting to see you after a bit. Hopefully we can talk more another time. I'm gonna go do some social sciences work. I'm gonna cry. Anyways, thank you guys for stopping by. The next stream, I might stream again on Monday. I kind of enjoyed that late night Monday stream, but we'll see if I'm not tired. If anything, then next stream would be on Tuesday. Okay, then. Thank you. You too. Whatever you're doing. I didn't ask how was work and everything, Cube. I hope work and everything is going well. And life has been going well. We can talk another time, for sure. I will see you guys. It's going. Hey, at least it's still going. That's the thing. Yeah. Hey, you got this, partner. It's going, but it's going. And you know what else is going? You're going. And that's important, because if you weren't going, then we would be upsetty spaghetti, because then Mommy Cube would no longer be in our life. Thank you. You also got a shouty. Nah, bro, I'm about to jump off a cliff. You're also going to do your homework? Yeah, I'm gonna go shower and then start my homework. Hey, it's 3D. I don't want to do my homework. I'm gonna do my homework. I'm gonna be a big girl and do my homework. Thank you guys. I hope to see you guys again soon. Stay amazing. Don't jump off a cliff. Thank you.